This video is about proportional circles, something really rather interesting. Well, what are they? Essentially, they're a graphical technique that involves symbols, usually circles, that are proportionate to their value. They're an excellent way if you want to compare data across locations by locating on a base map. This makes it a cartographic skill as well, and it allows you to investigate spatial patterns. So remember, it is the size of the area, in this case our circle, that is proportional to the data, not the radius. Now with that in mind, we need a little bit of preparation. We need a base map. Here I've created one of the upstairs, the geography department. We need a data table, some field work that you've done, and you need a pair of compasses and a calculator. So with all that set, let's begin. Step 1. Firstly, organise your table. And because we're using data that is going to be proportionate to the size of the circle, and the area of the circle is pi r squared, this means that we've actually got to square root the values of our results to be able to find the radius. In this case, you can see the results for our square root values are in the region of 2.2, the range 2.2 to 5. This brings us up to step 2. In step 2, we need to create a scale line. Now essentially this is just a horizontal line that incorporates all the data, and you can see my scale here goes up to 5 because my square root value maximum is 5. Once I've done that, I then create a circle. Now this circle, try to make as big as you can because it allows greater comparison between, greater contrast between the circles that you do then draw. It's also easier to draw larger circles than it is fiddly little ones. However, do be mindful that you need to fit all the circles onto your map, and we may need to consider using A3 paper to be able to fit everything on. Once you've done that, you create a vertical line, which effectively is the radius of this circle, and you draw that point to the 0 mark on the left-hand side. This gives you a sliding scale now, and this is going to be very, very useful for working out the radius of all our circles. Let's have a look at step 3. We're going to look at an example below of our first piece of data, which is a class of 16, square root value of 4. So we need to find what radius is necessary to represent 16 people. And there it is. That height there represents 16 people when we create a circle. Likewise, that represents 25 people. This represents 22 people, and that represents 5 people. And all we're doing is on the horizontal axis, we're working out where the square root value is. So having done that, we must remember to add our scale line to the base map. It really does help with the interpretation of data if we do that, and it'll aid your final scale, which we'll come to in a moment. So here is my completed map. I have put the circles on, locating them accurately in the correct location, and I can start seeing contrast between them and the spatial distribution. Just a recap of how I did this. So my first circle, which had a square root of 5, there it is, off it goes. Square root of 4, off it goes. And likewise for the remaining ones. The next step is to create a scale. Now so far, the scale line has purely been used to create the circles by identifying the length of the radius for each one. It is not showing the data for the actual value that we are representing. So what we need to do is to create our own set of circles and assign each of them a value, and we can do this by creating what's known as a nested set of circles. It's quite simple. I've chosen to represent 30 people in my scale. 30 people is a square root of 5.5, and you can measure that on the scale line and it'll look a bit like this. 20 has a square root of 4.5, so along your scale line you look at that, work out the radius just like we had before, and you can create your next circle. I've decided to go neatly down into tens, so my 10 square rooted would be 3.2, and that's how it would look there. And there we have it, our proportional circles with a scale located on a map. But of course there is one further stage we can consider. And that of course is to add colour, absolutely. And here we have it, 3 class groups, just like you would creating a choropleth map. I've decided to go for a light colour for the fewest people and a dark colour for the highest numbers. And here we have it. Fantastic. There you go, proportional circles, colour coded, located on a base map. Happy days.